The idea of daily driving a hot hatchback was something that was new and foreign to the North American market. And then they finally got to embrace and love it. And then Volkswagen decides to release a whole new generation of the Golf R. Welcome to Drivin. My name is Rahul and I do car reviews on this channel. And today we're going to be reviewing the brand new 2022 Volkswagen Golf R. I'll be going over the exterior, the interior, and then going for a quick drive. If you enjoy watching this video, be sure to hit the like button. And of course, there's more car content on the way, so make sure you subscribe to the channel. From the front of the Golf R, we've got this very sporty and very muscular grille with the radiator in the back. And we've got these two little fins on the side here as well, really making a very sporty look from the front. And then moving to the top here, we've got this sharp blue accent that runs all across the front end of the Golf R. The blue is the color for the Golf R brand, so you obviously are going to see that a lot throughout the car. And we've got these very nice full LED headlights, and also a very cool feature with the new Golf R is that the fact that this lights up at night. So we'll put a clip in, but it looks very nice, and the front end is very aggressive, so no complaints whatsoever. The new Golf R is powered by a direct injection 4-cylinder engine that puts out 310 horsepower and 315 pound-feet of torque. It also comes in a 7-speed DSG automatic gearbox, or you have the optional 6-speed manual as well. And funnily enough, only the North American Golf R gets the option to get a manual. In Europe, they only have the automatic. It's also got the 4-motion all-wheel drive system, which we'll see when we take this car out for a spin later on. From the side, the Golf R continues to maintain its typical hatchback shape with some very sharp body lines and looks very, very nice. Then we've also got these chrome hub mirror caps, a typical traditional thing in the Golf R. It was in the last generation as well. It pops out with some of the other colors, not so much with the white one. And speaking of the colors, there's only 3 colors being offered in the new Golf R. You've got the white, the black, and the blue. I'm not sure why Volkswagen did that, because in the last generation there was a whole bunch of different choices to choose from for the colors. So maybe later on down the road they'll add more colors, who knows. We've also got this Golf R badge here just to remind others on the road that you're driving a Golf R. We've also got these rims here, so these specific ones are just some aftermarket rims because the owner of this car is running winter tires, Canadian winter. But they actually have, the Golf R comes with standard 19-inch rims named Estoril after Portugal's best racing circuits. Those are very nice, I'm a huge fan of them. And also behind the rim, we've got cross-drilled brake rotors that ensure you have ample amount of stopping power, especially when you're doing some of the spirited driving. We've also got the blue brake pads with the R brand. Looks very, very nice. And also, this car comes with electronic dampers, ensuring that the smoothest ride is provided to the driver. The Golf R comes standard with a 4-motion all-wheel drive system, which is nice, but what's even cooler is the fact that this car comes with a torque vectoring rear differential. And what does that mean? Well, it allows for the car to send torque between the rear 2 wheels and also allow 100% of that power to be sent to the wheel that's outside of the bend. This allows for agile handling response, prevent understeer, and also just provide a very, very fun experience for the driver. Now, looking at the Golf R from the back, this is probably my favorite part of the car. I really like how aggressive and sporty it looks with the 4 exhaust tips on the bottom here. These look absolutely stunning and they sound really, really good. We'll put a clip of that in a moment here. Looking at the upper portion of the Golf R here, I noticed that Volkswagen really maintained a pretty simple look. You just got the R branding here, and then the Volkswagen logo, which houses the rear view camera as well. Very, very nice. We've got newly redesigned taillights that look very nice at night. We'll put a clip of that as well. And then we've got a 2-piece rear spoiler that creates downforce. So again, it's purposeful and effective, which is nice. We'll open up the trunk now. It's got an adequate space for a hatchback, as you can see, so no complaints there whatsoever. We've also got the privacy cover, which is nice, and overall just no complaints for the back end. And now it's time for us to move into the interior, which in my opinion is quite disappointing. Alright, so currently sitting in the new Golf R. It's pretty simplistic and I just don't like it. I'm probably going to say it hundreds of times throughout this review, but I'm not a big fan of it, especially when you're paying almost $50,000 for a car. I would expect the interior to be just a little bit nicer. You've got 2 screens and that's about it. There's not really much else going on and that's just disappointing. Now looking at the driver's side area here, we've got a flat bottom steering wheel with the Golf R branding. We've also got these nice paddle shifters perforated at the 9 o'clock and 3 o'clock, which is nice. We've also got these buttons here for the haptic feedback, which is pretty solid. I do have some of my concerns with the actual volume and the next track buttons, which we'll see in a bit. And it's also wrapped in this blue stitching, which is very nice. I like that. The paddle shifters are pretty high quality. As I was driving this car a little while ago, I used them and they're pretty responsive. I mean, it's pretty fun to drive them with the paddles, so there's no complaints there. And then also on the left side here, as opposed to having a knob to adjust your lights, Volkswagen decided to use a panel which has a bunch of your controls for your lights. Bit of an interesting choice as to using a panel as opposed to a knob. It took me a little while to get used to it, but I got used to it eventually. It does get a little distracting sometimes when you're trying to drive and you want to use, you want to adjust your lights. It also has your rear and front defroster buttons here, so as opposed to having them usually here, as most cars do, Volkswagen put them on the left here, which kind of can be distracting sometimes. You don't know which button you're clicking, so that's annoying. On the left here, we've got our window switches here. This is pretty much taken from the previous generation Golf R, so no changes there. We've also got these carbon fiber inserts, which are pretty nice. They're not actual carbon fibers. I believe it's just some sort of plastic, but that's about it. And also, on the driver's side here, we've got these sports seats, which are controllable through a bunch of switches. You've also got 3 different profiles for the driver to save, which is nice. But also, one cost-cutting thing that I saw that Volkswagen did was that this seat has electronic adjustments, but then the passenger seat does not. So you actually have to use the shifter or the little lever to adjust the seat forward and backward. Not sure why Volkswagen would do that in their Golf R, which is the highest performing car that they have, or top of the line. But yeah, it's a weird thing that they did. And now, looking at the screen, it's quite disappointing, I'll be honest with you. Again, let's turn it on and you'll see for yourself. So let's just turn on the car. Oh. It sounds quite nice, which is pretty nice. That's definitely not a disappointing part at all. I mean, every time I start this car, that cold start is spectacular. But looking at the screen here now, my prime example right over here, it looks like some of the buttons for the car haven't actually loaded up. And I just had the car on a little while ago, so I'm not sure why it takes so long. I saw someone online complain about the fact that to actually enter your driving modes, which is done through this button here, it takes a whole minute before you can actually access your driving modes, which is quite annoying for the driver, especially if you just want to get into your car and go somewhere. But the biggest issue is the climate control temperature systems here. So if you want to adjust your temperature, you use this little slider area here, which is quite weird and annoying, and it's actually distracting as well. I mean, I was trying to do it while I was driving and I just didn't like it. Same thing goes for the passenger side. And then your volume control is right over here, so you slide your finger, but as you can see, it's so weird, and it's definitely very frustrating. And also, if you want to access your climate control, you can press the climate button first, and then you can actually access the fan speed, how you want the climate to come out, your heated seats, your ventilated seats. So I know I said this in my other videos, but having climate on the screen is probably the way to go for a lot of cars going ahead. But I wish some cars would do it better. Volkswagen definitely did not do a good job of it, and that's just the way it is. Also, this car comes equipped with 30 different ambient lighting options here, so you can select that with the actual infotainment screen here. They're labeled some funky colors like Eternity, Desire. They're pretty nice. We'll put a clip of that as well. Just a bit of a gimmick now in a lot of these cars, so no real complaints there, but nothing too fascinating either. You can actually customize the lights as well, which is nice. But that's about it. And then obviously, to go back, you just click this button here and you can scroll through. It also has wireless CarPlay and Android Auto, which is nice. And then let's move on to the screen here. This is a 10.5 inch digital screen, which I actually like. So this kind of was messed up. No doubts about that. But then this was actually done really well. So the good thing about this little gauge cluster area here is that it's so configurable. I mean, you could change up the views. So if I press this here, you can get lots of different views, little different perspectives for the actual speedometer. You can also get your navigation to be taking up the full screen, which is nice. I really like that. And then also looking at these buttons here, so as I was mentioning earlier, they are haptic feedback. So they essentially just provide feedback when you click on them. You've got the heated steering wheel option here, the next track and below the next track and the previous track slider is here, your volume control, is also done through the slider here, so you have to slide your fingers across. I do not like it at all. And right above that, we've actually got the R button, which lets you put your car into race mode, and that just puts the car into a very aggressive mode. The exhaust gets louder, which we'll see in a little bit when we go for a drive. And that's about it. You've also got the cruise control, and that's really it as far as the haptic feedback and steering wheel goes. So personally, my biggest concern is the infotainment screen, but besides that, I mean, I think the gauge cluster kind of makes up for the blunder. And now looking at the area here, we've got our wireless charging mat here, which is very nice. You've got 2 USB-C ports. Then you've got the bronze trimmer here. Did I say bronze trimmer? Well, it looks like a bronze trimmer, so I'm going to say that. It's a very weird gear shifter that Volkswagen created. I know the Porsche 911, the new one, also has this. I'm not sure if they're trying to, make it similar to that, but it's a little strange. You've got the reverse, neutral, and drive transmission here, and then the parking is actually a button. And you've got a start, engine, stop. You've got a start stop engine here. You've got a start stop engine button here, which is a rectangle as opposed to a circle. It's an interesting shape, or interesting choice of shape, but it is what it is. You've also got this little area here to put some coins or your cards. Not sure what else you could put there. We've got a little mic here, ignore that. And then we've also got our electronic handbrake and cup holders, which are pretty adequate quality. There's no real concern there, but that's about it. And with that, I think it's time that we take the Golf R out for a spin. Alright, so currently driving the Golf R, the new one, and initial impressions, it is a beast. I have just driven this car for a couple of moments now, a couple of minutes, and it looks like it's eager to just unleash itself on the road. I mean, first and foremost, it is quite impressive on the throttle. I mean, I'll put it here in race mode that they call it, or Nürburgring mode, and you'll get to hear it for yourself. It just goes super beast mode. So we're gonna put it into race mode now. I'm gonna put it into Nürburgring mode. You can probably hear the exhaust a little bit, and here we go, some spirited driving. So right off the throttle, I mean, it's so eager to just go around the corners. And you can hear a little bit of crackles and burbles coming from the exhaust as well, which is very, very nice. It definitely puts a smile on your face driving this car. I mean, I did not think it would be this quick and this fun. And you hear that little pop there, just spectacular. This car also comes equipped with a drift mode. Obviously, I don't have the chance to be able to try that mode, but maybe on the racetrack, if I do ever have this car on a track, I would love to try it out. And that's when the torque vectoring that I was talking about earlier really comes into play, because on a regular road, you really can't drive this car hard around the corners because you're never really going to have the chance to do that. So where are you going to do that? Okay, so and then the transmission is just so quick to just shift. It's very snappy. I love that. This is the 7-speed automatic gearbox that I was mentioning about. With the manual, it'll still be pretty good, but obviously it just comes down to preference and which one you want. So it's so quick, and it's so fun. I know I talked a lot about the infotainment screen not being good at all, but once you drive this car, you just forget about the infotainment issues, you forget about the temperature gimmicks and all that, and you're one with the road. I mean, that's literally what this car was made for. I mean, so fun. Even in comfort mode, this car is very much usable and very much daily drivable. In comfort mode, everything just gets knocked down in terms of the sound, and obviously the steering isn't as sharp and as agile as you would think, as you would expect it to be in the race mode, but it's still very variable. I mean, I could definitely use this as a normal daily commuter in comfort mode, and that's amazing. Although personally, if you're gonna get a Golf R, you gotta always keep it in the race mode, and that's just my preference. And then I really, really love how this gauge cluster is. I mean, You have so many different modes and choices to really put it into. I mean, if I want to change the way I want my shifts to look, I can have my shifters on top, which is very nice. I can also have the navigation just take up my entire gauge cluster screen, which is very nice. Or I can just have it to be a very traditional classical gauge cluster with my revs on the left and the speed on the right. And in terms of the actual safety features, this car comes equipped with the blind spot monitoring system, reverse and front parking collision systems as well, which is very nice, very convenient. In a small hatchback car like this though, I wouldn't worry too much about it, because you're just never gonna, I mean, at least I would hope you're not gonna be in a position where, you know, you're making a very tight turn of some sort, or just, you know, being in a very tight position. So the parking sensors and all that stuff is nice. Again, just an extra feature, and it actually comes equipped with this Golf R, so you don't have to actually option it out, which is nice. I know the only thing you're really optioning out is the Harman Kardon speakers, the sunroof. Those are probably the only two optional things, and that's about it. And also, I know I was talking a lot about, you know, the gear shifter not being very nice or just being a weird gimmick, and it is, but at the end of the day, I got used to it, and eventually you just start using the paddles, and really you're just using the parking and the drive button. That's about it for a transmission. So it just takes some getting used to, is what it is. Dude, this car is sick. Okay, we're gonna go down and we're gonna come back. Jesus, man, this car is a beast. You hear those? Jeez, man. Oh quite a spectacular car, bro. And with that, my review on the 2022 Golf R comes to a conclusion. If you enjoy watching this video, be sure to hit the like button, and of course, there's lots more car content on the way. And if you like what you see, be sure you subscribe to the channel. Besides that, take care and I'll see you guys next time.
I just like the sound of it. Knew everything, I got it unlocked. Everybody acting what they not. You looking for somebody, girl, you lost. It's love, Fredo, don't you look into the pot. I upgraded everything, got it unlocked.